each other pretty well. He's been through tea parties throughout this nation, was gracious enough to come down to a tea party we had in Orlando, and I know he's really passionate about this issue. I'm really proud about what you're doing. With that, the representative from Steve King from Iowa. Come on up here, Steve.
Thank you, Todd. I came here because, well, first of all, I'm the ranking member of the Immigration Subcommittee in the United States Congress. And thank you. That means that's my job to be the point person on immigration policy for the Republican side of the aisle. I got into that job because I care a lot about the issue. I was raised in a law enforcement family. My father lectured to all of us kids about the rule of law. He opened up the code, he pointed to it, he read it to us, he repeated it to us over and over and over again until my brothers and sisters got tired of it, but I got infatuated with it. And because that one of the essential pillars of American exceptionalism is the rule of law. We're a law-abiding nation. We're a nation of laws. And if we allow something like amnesty to come back at us again, it destroys the rule of law in America. One of the rare times that Ronald Reagan let me down was 1986 when he signed the amnesty law. And when he did that, it was because there would never be another amnesty again ever. Well, there have been 6 amnesties since then, however, each has been lesser. But in 2006 and 2007, they tried to bring another one that would have provided amnesty for somewhere between 12 and 20 or more million people. Now, I've talked to people that have received the 86 amnesty. I've yet to meet one that was amnestied in 86 that thinks it was a bad idea. Of course they like it. And so do their children like it, and so would every generation like it that's the recipient and the beneficiaries of amnesty. But they aren't respecters of the rule of law. They're not people that are going to teach their children to respect and uphold the Constitution and the rule of law. The message that people get if you reward them with amnesty is that if you don't like the law, ignore it or break it. If enough of you do that, they'll change it and reward you for it. And that's wrong, America. And you know that in Arizona. So I wrote a definition for amnesty so we could at least be talking about the same thing. And that's what goes on is that, I knew that the Bush administration was going to try to redefine the word amnesty so they could pass amnesty. And that was the McCain-Kennedy Act, by the way. Oh, and I had this little flashback I want to share with you. What's going on the other side of the aisle? They are saying to illegal immigrants, you need to all join their party. Back in 2007, there was a rally of about 150,000 people that marched on the Capitol building in Washington. And they were there to demonstrate for amnesty. Many of them were illegal. They were all demonstrating for illegals. At that time, Senator Teddy Kennedy went out in front of them, and through an interpreter, he said this, and he said, "Some say, report to be deported. I say, report to become an American citizen." Now, what's that sound like to you? That's the clarion call for a reward for amnesty. They are doing it for bald-faced political gain without regard to the destruction of our nation. And I oppose it, and I will continue to oppose it, and I will stand and fight it every day wherever I have the privilege to be. Today it's here. I'm here to stand up for Arizonans. By the way, you have a member of Congress in your delegation that's arguing against Arizona. He's saying, don't come to Arizona, don't spend money, people should boycott Arizona. That's Raul Grijalva down in the 8th District, I believe it is. Who's he representing anyway? Mexico is what I hear. Is he trying to cede that district to Mexico? This is America. We stand together under one flag. It's the American flag. We stand together as one people. We stand together with the rule of law. And by the way, when we watch this unfold, when Arizona passed 1070, I had a great informational conversation for most of the afternoon with Senator Pierce. I'm really glad to know these gentlemen, and Tom Tancredo, my friend as well. And by the way, I forgot to tell you, I went to Florida to support Todd Long. He's here, and he'll get some more support back in Florida. All these things are going on. But here's another thing that we watched happen. You passed 1070 here in Arizona. The president didn't like the bill. He hadn't read the bill. He was the highest ranking official that spoke about it that didn't read the bill. He just said that a woman and her daughter could go looking for ice cream and be pulled over because someone could question them for their papers. Remember that? He was willfully misinforming the American people when he did that. And then President Obama ordered Attorney General Eric Holder to use the full force of the federal government to try to invalidate Arizona's immigration law 1070. Based on what? Eric Holder came before the Judiciary Committee where I serve, and I asked him, on what do you base this? Is it constitutional, is it statutory, is it case law? And then, well, he didn't have the answer. Then I said, Attorney General Holder actually is what I said, can you point to a place in the Constitution, you've referenced you think Arizona's law might violate the Constitution, point to a section that you think it might violate. Well, he couldn't do that. Then I said, point to some federal law that you think preempts Arizona's immigration law. He couldn't do that. And I said, then point to some case law that you think might be violated by 1070. He couldn't do that. And then I said, but you have been ordered by the president to use the force of the Justice Department to invalidate this law, and you can't find a nickel or one person to investigate Acorn, a corrupt criminal enterprise that threatens the very Constitution itself. But you can send your minions to Arizona to invalidate the will of the people of Arizona? This is what's going on in this government today. The president didn't read the bill, and right after I asked those questions, Congressman Ted Poe said to Eric Holder, well, did you read the bill? No, he hadn't. You said us, Janet Napolitano. No thanks, but you did. And she hadn't read the bill. And neither had, apparently, John Morton, who heads up ICE, who said he didn't want to use all the forces of ICE to honor the law here in Arizona. And he's had to squirm a little bit, but I think his heart's not in it. We all know that. He doesn't want to follow through and do his job. Assistant Secretary of State Michael Posner went and told the Chinese he had problems with the law here in Arizona. What is that about? And then on top of that, you've got Felipe Calderon that came to lecture the American people in the floor of the United States Congress thinking that you're wrong here in Arizona. Well, I'm here in Arizona to tell you you're right in Arizona. I stand with you here in Arizona. I stand with you when I go back to Washington. I stand with you in Iowa and every other state in the union I have the privilege to set foot. And I'm asking people in every state, take a look at what these men have done here and do the same in your states. The federal government's not doing its job. They don't have the will. They're not going to do it. They have political reasons not to enforce the law because they want political gain. Obama wants to expand the dependency class in America because the dependency class votes for him and it empowers their side of the aisle. Well, we've got to make Barack Obama a one-term president.